everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of February. Hi guys, editing me here. Just popping in for a little bit of a disclaimer before this video gets started. There are some traffic and car rumbling sounds that you're going to hear kind of sporadically throughout this video. It does not affect your ability to hear my voice at all, but like you will hear little rumbling sounds sometimes throughout the video. I very stupidly filmed this video during rush hour. I live in a city. It is what it is. I thought about refilming it, but it is the second time that I attempted to film this video. The first time there were like bad video issues. This time around, there's some traffic noises in the background. So I apologize. I know it's annoying. Literally, as I have been editing this, I ordered a mic. So after this video and my March TBR goes up, I will hopefully have no more audio issues, but I do want to say that I appreciate your patience. I'm sorry. I know that it's annoying. I'm still a booktube newbie, so I apologize. This is all like a learning curve, and I hope that you guys enjoy the video regardless. So February was an interesting reading month for me. The first 2 weeks of February, I barely touched a book. I said, what is reading? I think I read 2 books by the time the second week of February hit, which is not normal for me. I'm usually reading 3 or 4 books a week, doing really good, going really strong, and I was really excited about this month. As I had said, it is my birthday month. I was gonna read a lot of romances for Valentine's Day, and I don't know what happened. I did go out of town in the beginning of February, so I think that threw me off because I thought I would read so many books while I was on vacation, and I didn't read a singular one. I read 9 books this month, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, that is a great amount of books, but I really wanted to read like 10 to 15 books in February, and that just didn't happen. All that being said, I did read some incredible books this month, and I'm really excited to talk about them with you. Before we get started though, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for, I think I'm at like 330 subscribers when I'm filming this. I am so appreciative of every single one of you. If you have liked or commented or subscribed or interacted with my channel in any way, I am so grateful. I know that like 300 subscribers is not that much. There are people in the booktube community with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but I just feel so fortunate to have hit 300 subscribers within less than 2 months of me starting this channel. So I really want to say thank you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You guys are so amazing, and I'm just really excited to see what this year brings. So let's get started talking about the books that I read in February. So the first book that I read this month, I read on my Kindle, and that was 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This was an excellent way to start off my month. I rated this book 4 stars. This book was beautiful. It is a romance, but it has a lot more layers to it, and there are definitely some darker and sadder themes within the book, but I felt really touched by this book, and I think that Tia Williams is absolutely going to be an auto-buy author from me moving forward. I found this book to be so emotional and gripping and real. So this book follows 2 authors, which is a great aspect to the story. We have our heroine. She is like a paranormal, smutty romance author, which is awesome. And then our hero of the story, he kind of writes more, I don't know, general fiction, next great American novel. Like, he's very revered. He's very much in the upper echelon of authors. The 2 of them are actually childhood friends and end up losing contact with each other around the age of 18. And then several years later, I believe when they're in their 30s, they meet up again. So we do have a dual timeline. We follow the 7 days in June that they spent together when they were teenagers, and then kind of their lives up until the point when they see each other again. This book was really well crafted. I really liked the dual timeline. I loved the side characters. They were very funny, and I thought that the love story was really beautiful, and it felt very real. This was not like fluffy rom-com vibes. This was very like, these are real people. I think a lot of people could relate to the relationship in this story, and that made it very poignant and very special. As I've mentioned, this book is definitely not like a fluffy romance. I would definitely check trigger warnings. There are very dark themes like self-harm, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, scenes that allude to sexual assault, and quite a lot of other things. So definitely make sure that you check trigger warnings before you read this book. But I will say I found this story to be very important and very touching, and I absolutely recommend it. The only reason that I did not give this book 5 stars is because we have a kid in this book who is basically like a main character in the book. I believe she is 11, and she is like kind of really annoying. Here's the thing, disclaimer, I love kids. I have 2 baby nephews nephews who are my everything. I do not like kids in books. I find them kind of annoying and they sort of take away from the story. And this character in particular, she literally spoke like an adult. She spoke like a 35-year-old psychologist, and she's 11. And I'm like, I remember what it was like to be 11 years old. I did not think this way, did not speak this way, like at all. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just so cheesy and corny, and she was like giving out life advice to all of the adults in her life, and they were all like, after having a conversation with her, like, wow, I'm really looking at the world differently. And it's like, come on, like, I'm sorry, the child in the story was so unrealistic. Normally that wouldn't bother me so much that I would bump it down a star, but she was truly like a main character in this book, and she affected how the adults acted in this book, and I just found that to be completely unrealistic and just silly. So I did bump it down a star for that. But once again, I did love the main story. I loved our two characters. I loved the growth that we saw from both of them, and I absolutely recommend this book. Okay, the next book that I read in February is Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Dirty Air series, which is an F1 sports romance. I absolutely love F1, so once I learned that there was a Kindle Unlimited sports romance featuring F1, I had to try it. And I did read this book on my Kindle, but I loved it so much that I did go out and buy it. So there are 4 books in the Dirty Air series, and each book follows a different F1 driver. This book followed Noah and Maya. They're elite. I honestly don't know like how the rest of the books are going to compare to this book couple. I loved them so much, but Noah is an F1 driver for like the best team in the world, and Maya is the sister of his teammate. So it's kind of like, it's not brother's best friend, it's brother's rival, which was very interesting. And what I loved about this story so much, other than like the romance, the spice, you know, the normal things that come with a sports romance, I just loved the aspect of F1, because what is great about F1 is you travel all over the world for the races, and we just got to go to so many places in the story. So I definitely recommend it. The travel aspect was great. The characters were very good. It was a little cheesy. I gave it 4 stars. Some of the dialogue was a little cringy, but not so much that I felt like I had to put it down or like couldn't bear it anymore. There is a book that I read in February that was too cheesy that I did put the book down for a second and contemplated my life decisions up until that point, but not this one. This one was very good, very fun, and I am going to continue on with the series into March. Okay, so the next book that I read in the month of February was Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. This was such a beautiful book. We follow the story of Janie Campbell. She is a Black woman living in the South in the early 1900s, I want to say, and we sort of just follow her life story. She goes through 3 different marriages, 3 different relationships, and you see her growth as a person throughout all 3 of these marriages, and they're all very different. The men that she ends up with are all very different, and they kind of show where Janie is at in her life and what her values are, what her views are, what her dreams are, and that's sort of reflected in the different partner that she chooses. There is a lot of heartbreak in this book, but there are a lot of really beautiful moments and beautiful quotes in this book. I had a very good time reading this. This was a 4-star for me though, just because it did get a little bit dense to the point where I was having some trouble kind of understanding what was going on. I did reread a few parts, but overall I think that Zora Neale Hurston has a beautiful writing voice, and I loved following Janie's journey. She just felt so real to me. She truly felt like such a real character, and I said this in the vlog that I did where I read this book, but I felt like I was sitting in a room with Janie Campbell, and she was like, here, let me tell you my life story. It was very real, very raw, and I absolutely recommend it. Another book that I read this month was A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Oh my god, I love this book so much. This is a 5-star. This is amazing. I was so shocked. You guys, I've seen so many booktubers talk about this book, but I really didn't know what to expect when they talked about it. This is a retelling of Dracula's Brides. It is told in like letter format, where we, the reader, are Dracula, and the writer is Constanta, who is one of Dracula's brides, and she basically takes us through their time together and their time of when he first turned her into a vampire, over the years as they added a wife to their relationship and a husband to their relationship, and the unfortunate suffering and struggling that all of them went through at the hands of Dracula. The writing of this book was incredible, amazing. S.T. Gibson is a poet, literally, and I'm usually not one for like super flowery writing, but this really worked for me, and it was super like digestible and easy to get through. And also this book is so short, you guys. This book is like 220 pages, but some of the pages like don't even have writing on them. If you have been curious about this book at all, I cannot recommend it enough. It is beautiful. There's great imagery in this book. There is some beautiful real romance in this book, and obviously some very tragic and abusive relationships going on in this book. But overall, I think S.T. Gibson handled the themes with a lot of care, and I love this book so much. I'm definitely gonna reread this like later this year because I just want to experience it all over again. I was so blown away by this, did not expect to love it this much, and yeah, I just can't say enough good things about it. Okay, the next book that I read in the month of February is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This book had been a long time coming. I've wanted to read this for years, and I finally got around to it this month. I did a vlog where I read like a bunch of short books just to try to like beef up my month with some books, because I literally only read like 2 books by the time I started that vlog in the month of February. So I picked this one because it's only like 170 pages. So I actually ended up giving this book like a 3.5 4-star rating, more like a 3.5 though. This book was not bad. The story was not bad. The story's great. Like, I love Alice in Wonderland. I've seen the animated Disney movie like 1,000 times. I have seen the live action version so many times. And so because of that, I was really excited to read the source material, the original text. But I will say, when I read a book after I've already seen the movie or TV adaptation, I hope to sort of gain more from the story when I read the original text. And I just don't think that that happened here. So I don't rate this book lower because it's a bad story or because it's a bad book. It's great, but I feel no difference after reading this from when I had just seen the movies. I don't know if that makes sense. I was just hoping that like it would open my eyes to the story more, and I would just feel more magic and feel more fantasy. And I really didn't. I read this and was kind of just like, yeah, okay, that's basically the same experience as what watching the movie is like. That was my overall experience. So I do recommend it if you like the movie. Like, once again, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with the story. I just kind of was hoping to get a little bit more out of it than I did. Okay, and then the next book I'm so excited to talk about. This is one of my new all-time favorite books. I was not expecting it. It like blew me away, but that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is literally one of the best books I have ever read in my life. I 100% recommend it. First of all, this book inspired me to annotate. I've never annotated a book in my life, but there were so many amazing quotes, so many like thought-provoking sentences in this book that I had no choice. I literally ordered tabs like while I was reading this from Amazon and got them later that day and just started tabbing. I don't know what I was expecting. I just don't think that I was expecting to have such a rich reading experience when I read this book. If you do not know, The Picture of Dorian Gray is like a gothic classic. It follows Dorian Gray. He is like this beautiful young man who comes to London and meets some very like influential people in like the socialite scene, and he basically gets inspired by a friend that he meets, Lord Henry, who basically tells him like, hey, you are so beautiful, you are so young, and that is the most powerful thing in the world, and you should use that to your advantage because you're only this young for a short amount of time and you're only this beautiful for a short amount of time, so use that to your advantage. That's kind of the overall central theme. And then he's like a muse for an artist, and this painting is done of him, and he loves the painting so much and he keeps it, and some crazy things start to happen. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much. This book does definitely have a commentary on vanity and what that can do to a person, so that was really interesting. And there was this really cool like gothic, fantastical, paranormal element that I did not expect at all. This is just like such an incredible book. I don't really know what else to say. It's amazing, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. You should absolutely read it. I'm definitely going to reread this book sometime later this year because I truly feel like this is a book that I can gain something from each time I read it. And it was also really funny. Once again, I'm like always surprised when classics like make me laugh. I don't know why, but I always think that they're gonna be like so intense and serious. But this was amazing, and the imagery in this book was amazing, and the relationships between the main characters in this book was very interesting to read about. And yeah, I have like nothing bad to say about this. This is like my entire life. Another book that is now my entire life, my entire personality, one of my favorite books of all time. I'm sure you guys know what it is. House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, the second book in the Crescent City series. So after annotating Picture of Dorian Gray, I decided to annotate good old Crescent City 2 here, and it went great. As you can see, I really liked it. I did also tab the back here, the ending. If you know, you know. This book was incredible. I'm not going to go too much in depth talking about this book right now, just because this is a sequel in a series and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I do recommend that you absolutely read the first book, which is House of Earth and Blood. That's the red book back there. You can also watch my reading vlog for this book. I'll have it linked down below. I take you through my journey of reading that book, and it is a journey, let me tell you. It is an emotional, intense journey, but the majority of the vlog is spoiler-free. At the end, I do talk about spoilers, so if that sounds interesting to you, I will have that link down below. Go have fun with that. But yeah, this book owns me. I love it so much, and it was an amazing, amazing time reading this book. Okay, so after I read read House of Sky and Breath, I needed just like something fun, a palate cleanser, a book that I thought that I would really enjoy but just didn't end up loving, and that was From the God with Love by Mariana Zapata. I liked this book. I gave it 3 stars. It's not a bad book. I would recommend it. I was just really disappointed. Everyone loves this book. Everyone that I follow on Goodreads gives this book like 4.5 stars, and it has all of the ingredients to be a 5-star book in my opinion. This story follows Jasmine and Ivan. They are figure skaters. They begrudgingly team up as pairs to compete, and they end up falling in love, of course. So all of that sounds great, right? Those are amazing elements for like a wonderful romance story. However, and I don't really know how to convey this, but I loved the story. I just did not love the execution. I don't know what it is, but I just don't think that I vibe with Mariana Zapata's writing style. I have read one other book by Mariana Zapata, and that was The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. That's another book that I gave 3 stars to. This book and The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, I feel like are her most loved books. I feel like everyone gives them 4 or 5 stars. Everyone talks about how they're the most amazing slow burn romances, and they are definitely slow burn. I will give you that. I do like a slow burn romance. I have no complaints on that end. I don't know what it is. I just don't love her writing style. It feels a little, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know what it is that I don't like about it. I just don't think it flows very well, and I'm just not in love with the characters. Like Jasmine in particular in this book, she felt really immature, and she was 27, I think. I just feel like the way that she handled a lot of the situations in this book, I'm like, you're 27, come on. If she was 18, I would have given her way more grace and been like, well, she's 18, like whatever, she still has, you know, growing and maturing to do, but I found her to be kind of annoying. I did really like Ivan. I love the story. I love the pieces of the story. I just did not love the execution. So I gave this 3 stars. I think I'm gonna like take a break from Mariana Zapata for a while. I was planning on reading Colty and All Roads Lead Here like next month, but I think I'm gonna take a break for a while. I need to figure out kind of how I feel about Mariana Zapata's books and her writing style and see if there's something that I want to continue or if I should just like call it a loss, and maybe her writing isn't for me, and that's okay. So the last book that I read in the month of February was the book that I was talking about earlier where I said I almost wanted to put a book down because it was so cheesy, is Addicted for Now by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Guys, I have been trying with this series. I really have, because I want to love it. This is, if you didn't know, the Addicted and Calloway Sisters series. This is the 3rd book in the series, the 3rd book following Lily and Lo. So far, reading Addicted to You and Ricochet, and then now Addicted for Now, I just don't like this series. I'm not connected to the characters at all. Lily and Lo are just boring and so one-dimensional, especially Lily. Lily is very much a one-dimensional character. With Lo, I do feel like we get a little bit more of him beyond his addiction, but with Lily, it's so repetitive. When we're in her head, she's so repetitive, and I just don't feel like I know her beyond her addiction. And I understand that's obviously a huge part of the story, but it's also a romance, and we do get facets of other characters' personalities, and overall, this is like a lighter book. It's not like this dark, hard-hitting look at addiction. The addiction is an aspect, but it is a romance, and there are a lot of fun moments in these books. I will give it that, but Lily is just so boring to read about. I hate to be repeating myself so much, but that's the best way I can put it. Lily is very boring. Lo is very boring. The only saving grace of this story is Rose and Connor, which is why I am going to continue on with the series and read Kiss the Sky next month, just because I do really like them. I'm just not into the series so far, and I really want to be, because I feel like most people who have read it say it's their favorite series of all time. Like, it's a very well-loved book in the romance community, but I don't know what it is. I'm just really not vibing with it, and God, the dialogue in this book can be so cheesy sometimes. There was a moment in this book, it was kind of towards the beginning, and I just need to like tell you guys this line that made me almost like DNF the series right then and there. Like, screw Rose and Connor, screw continuing this book, screw continuing on with the rest of the series. I was ready to be done. So with very little context, Lo, the hero of this book, he is in an argument with this guy, and it's like this tense argument about a very like serious subject, and they're going back and forth, and then to end the argument, for Lo to have like the last word in this argument, he says to this guy, "You should eat some of your sister's makeup because your insides are fucking ugly." Like, are you guys kidding me? What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to say to that? That sounds like an insult in like a Disney Channel show that like an 11-year-old would say. Like, I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. And he's supposed to be like 21 or something like that. Like, and 21 is young, but like that is such an immature, crazy thing to say. Like, I'm sorry. I read that and I literally like put the book down and was like, can I do this? Can I continue on with this book? let alone the series. Can I continue on with this book? I did push through. I don't know, my overall feelings are just kind of like, I'm bored. I am excited to get the POVs of other characters in the book like Rose and Connor, and we'll see. We'll see if I continue on with this story, but I just couldn't get past how boring this was and how cheesy this was, and I'm just praying that the next book is like a little bit better. Okay, so those are all of the books that I read in the month of February. It was a pretty good reading month for me, but I definitely want to read a lot more books in the next month. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to look in the description down below for more ways that you can connect with me. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.